What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Let's get it. It's that time. Snap Count Monday is here. We're going to go ahead and lead the day off, at least in terms of the weekly series videos, with Snap Count Monday, and then we're going to do a look at PFF grades a little bit later. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. You guys know how it works. We take a look at the snap counts for various Seahawks players. The ones that we're thinking about some kind of rotation, the one where I think it can be illuminating to see who's playing and how much they're playing. I think you guys kind of know the drill by now. So we have here the snap counts for the offense. We're going to lead off with the offense, get to the defense a little later in the video. So the first thing to look at is total number of snaps. You guys know that this is one of the most important elements of success or failure in football. How much do you have the ball? How much does your opponent have the ball? Well, in this game, the Seattle Seahawks ran 67 offensive plays. Let's keep that number in mind as we go forward here. 67. All right, so running backs. Let's start with the running backs here. You can see on the table, Ken Walker, 44, Charbonnet, 23. So, yeah, those two numbers up. You get up to 67 exactly. So, when Walker was not on the field, Charbonnet was on the field pretty much in 2-to-1 split, right? 66% goes to Walker, 34% goes to Charbonnet, which is, I think, pretty cool. I think pretty good. I know Charbonnet didn't run the ball all that well on Sunday, but he did have a very nice catch in as a receiver running that pseudo wheel route of sorts, and that ended up being a very important play in this game. So I still think that he added a lot of value in this game. I still think he played a good all-around game. You bust a almost 40-yard touchdown catch, you're going to make up for a lot of your shortcomings in other areas, and there were shortcomings. The interesting thing here is that even though Walker actually got dinged up a little bit at the end of this game, we still saw zero Kenny McIntosh. And it's the first game of the year. You can obviously get away with stuff like that, but zero snaps for Kenny McIntosh is not what I would have expected. I would have expected he would at least get a few, and I think down the line he probably will. And I would have liked to have seen him at the end of this game instead of Charbonnet, because Charbonnet is not like we were giving Charbonnet long developing plays, and I don't really think that's what you want to give a player like Zach Charbonnet. I think you would have rather had McIntosh in there for those plays, but in terms of the split, I think this is actually really good, and I think this is kind of what we should strive to do as the season goes on. 44-23, I think that's a winning strategy right there. Okay, now we go on to the wide receivers. Some very interesting things going on here, I think. Not so much with DK Metcalf. He's on the field for 59 snaps. That's 88%. That's pretty much in line with my expectations. I know he actually got dinged up after a catch at one point in this game and had to come off for at least a play or two that may have contributed to it, but he's going to be on the field for somewhere around 85 to 90% of the snaps. That's normal. Tyler Lockett, you're starting to see that thing that we talked about this offseason come into effect here. 36 snaps, that is barely over 50%. That's less than 54%. So that's certainly interesting. It's not surprising, but it does kind of put into concrete black and white numbers the fact that Lockett is going to see a diminished role this year. And also, he was our leading receiver and one of our best players, despite only playing just barely over half the snaps. So that tells you how good of a game he had. When you compare him to someone like a JSN, who was on the field significantly more, almost 80% of the snaps at 53 total, but only had 2 catches and didn't really make any significant plays. That's, you can kind of see the discrepancy there. And this is why I do have a vocal minority of people in my comments from week to week that wonder about if JSN's skill set is actually NFL applicable at times. 53 snaps to make 2 catches as a very hyped slot receiver is not going to excite people when Lockett is playing significantly more snaps as a much older player and making far more plays. Bobo got 20 snaps, which I've said this before, I'll say it again. I really feel like the strat with Bobo, for now at least, needs to be we play him a little bit and we let him do really good things in that little bit of playing time he gets. I know some people want him to play a lot more. I know some people want him to play a majority of the game because he's done so many good things so far in his career, but I think that Bobo is best served as a guy you use sporadically, and he can do great things for the short periods of time he's out there. Chenault had 7 snaps, so relatively low usage there, just over 10%. Same with Derek Young, who was out there for 7 snaps. So Chenault had a couple of plays, but didn't really do anything big. So those plays will come. Those plays will come. I'm not worried about it at all. Denver's defense played a really good game, and there just wasn't a lot of opportunity there for Lavishka. Nobody got anything else, of course. And that gets us to tight end. Pretty simple here. Noah Fant played about 3/4 of the game, 50 snaps. And with the way the tackles were playing, I think we went to 2 tight end sets a little bit more than expected. Pharaoh Brown was out, so A.J. Barner actually benefited a lot from this. He played almost half the game, almost 48% at 32 total snaps. Brady Russell, I thought he played more than this, actually. He only got out there for 4 snaps, about 6%. So that's probably going to be similar to what we see the rest of the way, maybe even a little bit more tight end usage if the tackles can't figure it out. So that's not what I had in mind with the team this year, but it may be the way things have to go. All right, offensive line. We did actually see a little bit of in and out rotation here, but not a ton. Cross, Tomlinson, and Williams played every snap. Bradford played every single snap except for one, where Christian Haynes went in for one play. And Stone Forsythe played a vast majority of the game, over 80%, 54 snaps, because George Fant only played 13 before he got hurt. Still don't know what's going on with George Fant injury-wise as of me recording this video, by the way, if you were wondering. Okay, so that's the offense. There's a lot of stuff that I like here, a lot of stuff that makes sense, but rotations, I think, matter even more on the defensive side of the ball. So let's go over there. So leading off, 69 total snaps. So basically the same snap counts on both sides of the ball, which is kind of amazing because the Seahawks turned the ball over twice, and they had a 2-play drive, they had 2 1-play drives, and they had a 0-play drive because the punt muff is kind of like a 0-play drive, right? So the fact that they were able to achieve almost equilibrium by the end of this game is kind of amazing because that first half was such a disaster. But yeah, 69 plays. We have, on the defensive line, I think, really good understanding of rotation. I really like what they did with the rotations on the defensive line. Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, and Jaron Reed all had between 40 to 45 snaps. Basically, they got anywhere from 58 to 66%. I think that's really good. All 3 of them played a majority of the game, but they didn't play so much of the game that I felt like they would be. I feel like that's something that's going to wear them out to a critical degree. Leonard Williams is making a lot of money. He should be playing about 2/3 of the snaps in all likelihood, and that's almost what he got to in this game. And you can see that if we can maintain this balance the rest of the way, it'll be so much better than last year. Last year, by the end of the year, guys like Leonard Williams were playing over 80% of the snaps. Now, hopefully, we can even maybe improve on this a little bit. Guys like Jaron Reed should probably be playing a little bit less than this, if we're being honest. Mike Morris had 9 snaps. Hopefully that goes up a little bit as the season goes on. I'm high on Morris. I think he can play. So maybe next game he'll get double digits and get to a point where eventually he's providing 15 to 20 snaps off the bench. And the only other defensive lineman who played, who I actually think played pretty well, was Jonathan Hankins with the 17. Now, Draymond Jones, I think he played some of his snaps on the line, so we'll get to him in a second. But you can see that the understanding of rotations is good. Okay, now we get to linebacker, which is really simple. There's really nothing to say here. We had 2 guys play. Dodson played every snap. Baker played every snap except for one. I think he just came off the field on like some kind of a dime look where we only had Dodson on the field. So nothing to be concerned about there. Maybe he got dinged up for one play. I can't remember for sure. I remember there was one play where he was slow to get up. Maybe he missed one snap after that. Edge rusher, a little more interesting here. Boye Mafe plays almost the whole game. He plays 60 of 69 snaps. That's 87%. Now, he played a great game. He was one of our best players, so you obviously want him out there a lot. But also, this is because we don't have Nwosu. So, with Nwosu out, Mafe has to play the whole game. Nwosu, by the time he gets back, you should see this number start to diminish significantly. 87%, that's not... I don't want to see that all season. I'll put it to you that way. Derek Hall plays about 45% of the game, and he did actually play a pretty good game. So 31 snaps for him. Excited about that. Happy about that. I'm happy we were able to keep that number relatively low, even though Nwosu was out. I would have guessed it would have been a lot higher because we didn't have Nwosu. So they found creative ways to limit his snap count. Same with Draymond. Draymond, even though he's playing multiple spots this year, only had to play 40 snaps, which is less than 58%. So once Nwosu gets back, he may be down to like 50% pretty quickly here. Or maybe he'll play more snaps on the defensive line and sop up some of the stuff from the top three guys here. But pretty understandable rotation. The only guy who got overloaded was Mafe, and Mafe was playing so good, maybe it's not such a bad thing to overload him. Trevis Gibson did get on the field on defense, but he only played 2 snaps, less than 3%. And of course, nothing for Bowser. He's on the practice squad. So pretty good here. Pretty good stuff here from the snap counts on the edge and on the line. Everything in the front 7 strikes me as good, except for maybe Mafe playing too much. And even that is not anything to worry about yet. Cornerback is going to be real easy. Witherspoon's on the field for every snap. Woolen's on the field for every snap. Trey Brown on the field for pretty much exactly 2/3 of the snaps. In fact, exactly 2/3 of the snaps, actually. So that indicates how often we were a nickel. That indicates how often we had 3 cornerbacks out there. About 2/3 of the time. Pretty good. And this trifecta of cornerback players is one that I'm very enthused about getting on the field as much as humanly possible. I think all 3 of these guys are going to have really good years. And that includes Trey Brown, who I know some people were dogging on last night. Trey Brown's in a contract year. I think he's going to be good. He's going to give up some stuff just because Witherspoon and Woolen are not going to get attacked very much. They have to go after somebody. But I think Trey Brown's in line to have a nice season. And then finally we get to safety, where once again things are going to be fairly simple. Julian Love and Rayshon Jenkins, who both played really well, had 69 snaps, every snap, 100%. Kevon Wallace gets 12. So you can kind of see that's about how often we went 3 safety. And presumably on some of those 3 safety looks, a guy like Julian Love is playing closer to the line, more in the box. So it's not a big part of the defense. It's not even 18%. But you can see that it is a part of what we're doing here. And Kobe Bryant got 1 snap. And if I had to guess, he probably came in on the 1 play that Jerome Baker missed. So he was more probably playing dime corner than he was safety, even on that snap. But pretty simple stuff there. Nothing for Blair, nothing for Okada, which you wouldn't expect unless people get hurt. So those are your snap counts for week 1 of Seahawks football. I like what I see here. I think this is all pretty good. Let me know what you think down below, though. I'll see you guys later. PFF stuff coming out later today. Go Hawks. Maybe we'll get some injury updates. McDonald was mum about injury stuff earlier, so maybe not. But we'll see what's up. Go Hawks.